The Deputy Prime Minister has been visiting families who've been left homeless after yesterday's fire in a block of flats in Dagenham, East London. Angela Rayner described the damage as horrific, and she thanked the emergency services.
I know people will be incredibly worried, especially given that this is a building that was having remediation work done for cladding, and I think it's been going far too slowly, the remediation work. We talked about Grenfell Phase 2 is on the 4th of September, and we still have significant amounts of cladding on buildings, and I will be making sure that I push the Health and Safety Executive and the building safety regulators and those responsible who own the buildings to make sure that remediation work is carried out as quickly as possible. It's too slow. These are not assets. These are people's homes, and people need to feel safe in their own homes.
It's Angela Rayner. The London Fire Brigade Commissioner, Andy Rowe, also visited that site in East London.
It was very important for me to visit the scene today, not least to meet with our firefighters, but also to thank the Deputy Prime Minister for taking the time to come to and listen to the stories of the firefighters who responded first on the night. I'm immensely grateful to our crews and officers who operated in the most dangerous conditions you can imagine to rescue people and to bring the incident under control, despite being faced, as you can see behind me, with a very significant building failure.
It's Andy Rowe of the London Fire Brigade. The block had been undergoing work to remove and replace what's been described as non-compliant cladding just before the incident. We can talk to Paul Afshar, who's a campaigner for End Our Cladding Scandal. Welcome to you, Paul.
Hi, John.
Hi, thank you for joining us, Paul. When you saw this fire in Dagenham, I wonder what went through your mind. I mean, you're a campaigner on the subject. Did this seem to you to be an accident that was waiting to happen?
Unfortunately, it did. And the scenes were absolutely horrifying, particularly when you read the stories of parents having to carry their screaming children and babies out of their sort of building because it was on fire, some of them claiming not even to have heard the fire alarm. For too many of us up and down the country who are cladding victims, I live in a clad flat, this is, a reality that we go to sleep every night thinking about. And you can imagine the toll it takes on our mental health, never mind the people who've actually experienced this in Dagenham and other parts of the country.
I mean, we're expecting, aren't we, the report into the Grenfell Tower disaster to be published maybe next week. That was 2017, that fire. And we saw the awful results of that fire. It is extraordinary to be having this conversation at all, talking about the lack of progress in dealing with some of the questions which already have been clearly identified.
The solutions are incredibly simple. The dangerous, non-compliant, I believe was the term used, cladding needs to be removed, and it needs to be removed ASAP. I have been involved with End Our Cladding Scandal for the last 3 years, and this is something that we've been campaigning for 3 years and beyond then as well. It beggars belief that it has taken this long to have a set of solutions in place, both funding and schemes to remove cladding. But the real problem, John, is that these schemes are moving too slowly. You played a clip from Angela Rayner before, who herself mentioned that, and I would absolutely concur with her. What I would add as well is there is funding already in place. There is funding that the last government negotiated and sort of agreed to put forward, and this government has done so as well. The problem is it's not getting to the ground. And what that means is that the work to remove dangerous cladding, including on the building in Dagenham that unfortunately suffered a fire, is not happening fast enough at all. So people are left worrying when they go to sleep, is this going to happen to me?
So what's been the hold-up? If the money is available, if the problem's been identified, the danger is obvious, why haven't we seen the progress?
There's a huge system of bureaucracy around how the funding is allocated, unfortunately, which makes it incredibly complicated. You, as a flat owner, have to apply for the funding through your freeholder who owns the block on an individual block basis. There aren't enough people effectively working to administer the funding. There aren't enough safety inspectors to assess what type of work is needed, and there aren't enough skilled people to do that work as well. So there's two problems really. One is the bottlenecks in how the funding's getting to the ground, and the other is people to actually do the work.
All right, Paul, thank you. That's Paul Afshar there from the End Our Cladding Scandal campaign.